Does it take you a while when you're writing for series and shows and pilots? Does it take you a while to kind of find the character's voice, or do you find?
It's interesting. There's a couple stages to it. I often don't have trouble finding the character's voice. If I'm having trouble finding it, it's probably not a good character, you know? But oftentimes I think the voice, you find what you think the voice is going to be, and you start writing that, and then you start recording that voice, and the actors bring a thing to it, and it definitely like changes. You start writing to how the character is being played by the actor, and there's kind of like a course correction that starts to happen kind of like after several records where, you know, I've been lucky to work with some amazing voice actors who all bring their own thing to it. And it's kind of, sometimes it's a direction you never pictured. And yeah, you kind of adapt the writing to that.
So when you're supervising writer, how do you maintain like consistency of character and the vision amongst all your writers?
Going back to Voltron again, that was a really interesting. We had a ton of freelancers on there. I had very few freelancers who did repeat scripts. And just because of the pace we were working at, not for any other reason. But you know, I do know like Brandon Sawyer wrote the most freelance scripts, and he's the one running the most successful kids show, I think, on Netflix right now, Boss Baby. So he's not available anymore. You know, Scott Sonnenborn was another one, but like, so when guys like that were doing it, they were getting the voice a little more, but people who were writing one-off freelance scripts, you know, it's really hard to get the voice in that. So I think on Voltron, I was very busy rehashing a good portion of the dialogue to keep it on voice. And then like, once I got to, let's just use Turbo as an example, where I had a room of consistent writers, eventually, like what I learned was, you know, there's this writer's version of Turbo and that writer's version of Turbo. They all sound like Turbo, but I can tell you, like, you know, Madison wrote that line for Turbo, and Sam wrote that line for Turbo, and you know, Nick and Devin definitely wrote that line for Turbo. Like, it's interesting to see like there's a writer's voice that stays in the character's voice, and when you have a good room, that's like pretty ideal, where you don't have to change it. It's like that definitely sounds like it's the character, but I definitely hear that person's voice within the character.